He left the champagne up here, and I'm drinking that shit. Cheers, guys. Cheers. We're drinking tonight, guys. That's one of my favorite parts about stand-up comedy. Is technically right now I'm drinking at work. Pretty sweet, right? Yeah. I'm pretty fortunate in that regard, though. I actually have a day job where I'm able to drink at work as well. I'm an Uber driver. If anyone needs a ride, I got you. I'm not actually an Uber driver. I actually work for the New York City Public Health Department for my day job, which when people hear that, wow, it's the health department things, yeah. A lot of benefits working for the health department, right? One benefit people don't know about is when you work for the health department, you actually get unlimited free condoms. Did you guys know that? Yeah. If you go to walk into my office, they're just fish bowls of condoms, like placed throughout the employees. And like I said, they're free for you to take, but the only catch is whenever you grab them, you're kind of insinuating to your coworkers that you think you're gonna fuck sometime fairly soon. Right? That brings like a weird sexual tension into the office. And I decided to fully lean into the weird sexual tension, guys. I strategically wait to grab my condoms. I wait till my boss asks me, Kyle, do you have any big weekend plans coming up? Then I walk over to the fishbowl of condoms, I lock eyes with her, and I slowly take out 12 Magnum-sized condoms and put them in my back pocket. And I tell her, no big plans, just a little movie night in with my boys, you know? Yeah, we don't actually wear condoms, but aside from the fact. Are we all familiar with the fact that when 9/11 was happening, George W. Bush was reading a children's book to a classroom full of second graders, and we all know that happened, right? And think about it. So that happened in 2001, second grade class. Those kids are all now 31 years old. And I have to wonder, do some of those kids use that story as their fun facts during icebreaker situations at work, you know? I probably would, right? It's objectively way more interesting than being left-handed, right? And I never know what to do in those situations. And we've all been on that Zoom call, you know, the whole time the person before you is going, talking about they've been to 14 state capitals or whatever, and you're racking your brain. You're like, what am I going to say for my fun facts? Imagine that sensation, but you know in your back pocket you have the most interesting story of all time, right? He's like, yeah, Boise, Idaho, it's really cool. All right, Kyle, on to you. And you're like, the year was 2001. We were sitting crisscross applesauce on Miss Foley's second grade classroom floor. George Walker Bush was in front of us reading Where the Wild Things Are. Not the strongest reader, but he was doing his best. Then all of a sudden, a guy came and whispered in his ear, and the whole vibe changed. I guess he whispered one of the wild things, maybe headed for the Pentagon. I don't know. Did you guys know George Bush, when he got that whisper in his ear, he kept on reading the book. He finished reading the book to the second grade class, and then after he was finished, dealt with 9/11. That seems like a bad choice, right? I'm like, if W was a little bit of a faster reader, we could maybe scramble some F-18s and save one of the towers. I don't know. Let's see. I grew up in the Midwest originally, live in New York now, obviously. I feel like nothing about this Midwest body was ever meant to live in New York City, because everything about New York makes me anxious, and when I'm anxious, I have to pee, and there are no public bathrooms anywhere in New York City, right? We all agree with that. Like the other day, I was out and about, and I had to pee so bad, I stopped into a Quest Diagnostics. Just so I can pee in one of their cups. You know, I walked up to the lady at the front desk, I'm like, 2 cups, please. This is gonna be a lot. And I did my business, filled up 2 full cups, went about my day. Then a couple hours later, I get a phone call from a nurse who said, Kyle, I'm here from Quest Diagnostics. I have some good news and I have some bad news, which is, never what you want to hear after peeing in a cup, right? So the good news is you tested negative for all the STDs you're looking at. The bad news is your health insurance didn't pay for any of the tests. To us, $438. So $438 just to pee in a cup, guys. Would not recommend. But let's see. Like I mentioned from the Midwest, I feel like growing up in Iowa, which is where I grew up, I never heard a lot of the classy expressions that New Yorkers use. Until recently, I never heard anyone refer to the bathroom as the powder room. If you guys heard that expression, classy way to say bathroom or whatever. The first time I ever heard that expression, I was out on a first date. My date said, excuse me, Kyle, I have to go use the powder room. Like I said, never heard that before, so I thought she was excusing herself to go to the bathroom to do cocaine. Right? One would assume, the powder room. I was like, aggressive for a first date, cool chick, whatever. Not gonna yuck her yum. But turns out she was not going to the bathroom to do cocaine. She was simply going to the bathroom to pee, which I made awkward. Because when she got back to the table, I looked at her and I said, "Hey girl, you save any of that good stuff for me?" And she was into it. She's like, "Yeah, if we go back to the bathroom, I'll give you some right now." And so we did. We went back to the bathroom, and long story short, neither one of us are allowed to Times Square Hooters ever again. We banned. In their defense, we did leave that bathroom in rough shape. That place looks like it was a dog park after a blizzard. You know, there's yellow snow everywhere. So PB cocaine for those who don't want to catch me up. Right? I live in Brooklyn. Now, I just moved to off a street called Malcolm X Boulevard. Are we familiar with Malcolm X Boulevard? Yeah, Malcolm X Boulevard. Not sure how Malcolm X would feel about a guy named Kyle moving to his boulevard, I'll be honest with you all. The residents of Malcolm X Boulevard still seem skeptical, which I get, you know, like when a guy named Kyle moves into your neighborhood, that's like 2 steps before like the bodega gets turned into a climbing gym. I understand. But I don't know. I really tried not to be a G-word gentrifier when I moved, but I feel like my realtor really set me up for it, you know? Like, after she showed me the place on Malcolm X Boulevard, I'm like, hey, that's a really nice apartment. I want to keep my options open, though. You have anything else I can take a look at? She said, yes, Kyle, I have a great, stunning one-bedroom located on the historic block of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. What do you say? I'm like, oh, sounds like another lovely neighborhood. You know, maybe if you have something a little bit more my vibe, I'm thinking like Christopher Street could be appropriate, right? Like, then she showed me how much apartments cost on Christopher Street. So I'm like, all right, let's do Malcolm X Boulevard. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Yeah, living in Brooklyn. Let's see, people in Brooklyn love to manifest. Do you guys manifest? Clap it up, you manifest. Yeah! I didn't think that many people, you guys are gonna hate the show. I think manifesting's bullshit. I'm just gonna say that, honestly. I'm tired of people telling me to manifest. Like, I feel like anyone who's ever gotten anything from manifesting just already had a pretty sweet and easy life. I don't know, that's kind of the trend that I've noticed. Like, I feel like telling a guy to manifest is like the lazy girl version of telling a guy to pull himself up by his bootstraps, you know? Like, but at least you're telling someone to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. You're telling him to do something, right? If you're telling someone to manifest, like, hey, you should really think about doing something. Like, I don't think that's going to work. I don't know. But I do think that manifesting is more popular than with women than with men. Because, like, for guys, we think about cool stuff happening to us all the time, right? Like, you know, I've thought about, like, being rich, you know, sleeping with Sabrina Carpenter. I've been thinking about that for years, but the closest I've ever gotten is owning 1% of a Bitcoin and sleeping with an actual carpenter. So that's I still have some work to do there. I don't know. Let's see. I'm a white guy who doesn't watch anime, and I think that should be okay. You know? Any anime fans here tonight? Perverts? No. I don't know. I just think the anime, it's like the Real Housewives of like sticky virgins, I feel like. That's kind of how like, I'm tired of being told I'm the weirdo for not watching Japanese cartoons. Is that, like, I don't know. I feel like society swung too far in that regard. You know, I walk around Brooklyn sounding like such a boomer, and I'm like, back in my day, the white dudes in kimonos, those were the weirdos. Everyone's like, shut up, grandpa, go home. Watch some anime. And like, you know what? I'm gonna go home and watch Family Guy like an adult, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see, I'm in my 30s now. Big perk of being in my 30s is I no longer have to go through elaborate schemes to get laid like I used to in my 20s. Frees up a lot of time, you know. I feel like the worst scheme I ever made in my 20s to try to get laid is my freshman year of college. A bunch of buddies, myself, went out and bought matching copies of the DVD, The Notebook, the Nicholas Sparks romance film. Are we familiar? Yeah, so our grand scheme is we're going to invite girls back to our dorm to watch The Notebook with us. And then they're gonna sleep with us because they see that we're sweet and sensitive boys who like The Notebook, right? Like needless to say, our plan did not work whatsoever. You know, not because the women didn't want to sleep with us, but after watching The Notebook so many times, we gave up hookups in pursuit of true love. So that was the one. Let's see how I end with this, guys. I live, you know, I used to mention off Malcolm X Boulevard. Live in Bed-Stuy, right next to Bushwick. You guys ever venture over to Bushwick so they keep the extra strength douchebags? That's right. No, it's a very hip neighborhood, right? Like I was in Bushwick the other day just trying to get a drink, popped into a bar. No drink menu anywhere in this bar. So I go up to the bartender ask for a menu, and he says, "Oh, so here we actually don't have a drink menu, but I will make you a curated cocktail based explicitly off your vibe." I'm like, well, one vibe cocktail, please, whatever you got. And the drink this guy proceeds to make me is just a cup of room temperature whiskey with a little splash of cranberry juice on top. Yeah. Kind of a gross drink, right? Not something I typically order, so I didn't want to complain. So I just asked him, "Hey man, out of curiosity though, what's my vibe?" He's like, "You, gay alcoholic on a budget." I'm like, "Oh, this guy's pretty fucking good, all right." I'm like, the only thing you're wrong about is I'm actually flushed with cash, but all right, you guys have been amazing. I'm your Kyle Wayne.